Howdy folks, Sapper here, aka Sean, and welcome to A World in Flames, Victory in the West scenario. We are currently still in the May-June 1940 turn. We have just completed through the 6th impulse, and let me show you the impulse track. I've probably shown it to you before, but I don't remember, so we'll just kind of go over it again real quick. So there's the impulse track. So again, here's the turns, right? So you have 6 turns in a year. Currently we're at May, June. And then within that May, June time frame, or within any one of those 6 turns, 6 2-month turns per year, we have all these impulses. So you start here, and then so the axis goes here, and then when they're done, you have to roll underneath that number on one 10-sided die. And if you roll underneath the number that's down here, then that 2-month period ends. So you can see the first 4 turns, there's an NA, so you don't even roll. So on this was an axis impulse here, so the odd number ones are axis. We have to roll a -1. And there's only one modifier right now, which is a -1, because we are doing... No, I thought you don't even get to do that one. That's if both sides pass, then you get a -1. Weather can modify that die roll, but because it's fair weather, there's no modifier, I think. Let me double check, but weather also modifies that. Yeah, the weather is not going to modify that because of what I rolled on the weather chart. So basically, I have to roll. The Allies just finished their turn, so I had to roll a 0, which I thought I had a -1 modifier for something, but maybe not. I don't remember. But anyway, I didn't roll a 1. So we'll get ready to advance and go to the Axis side. So if I roll a 1 at the end of this next impulse, then May, June will end. And then, so another thing too that you also need to look at as far as how many spaces this marker moves on the track is affected by the weather. So you can see in May, June, if you rolled a 1 on the chart, then you would advance the marker, the impulse marker, 2 spaces every time. So when the weather's bad, it just takes a little bit more effort to do things, which, that makes sense. I like that. That's a neat little, it's a neat mechanic that's in the game. So anyway, back to what actually happened. So the Germans, I believe they attacked this hex here with guys from here, with 2 units from here, or a unit from here. We had 3-to-1 odds, and basically nothing happened. Neither side took a loss, no retreats, anything like that. So it was a wasted attack. They used this headquarters to reorganize those units that were in there. So basically, when you use a unit for an attack, you flip it upside down, kind of like this one right here. He's flipped upside down, which means you can't use them. When you reorganize it, you have to use a headquarters to reorganize units. The headquarters flips those guys back over, so now that they're on their active side again. So I use the headquarters to reorganize the 3 units that participate, the 2 units from here and the 1 unit from here that contributed to that attack. So I flipped them back over so they can be used again. So that's all that the Germans did. And then the French, basically, on the Allies' turn, the British don't really have anything going on. The only unit I think they have, they just have the 1 unit here, which can do anything, and he opted not to attack. So the French moved some units around. They moved this guy off the Maginot line here, and then this headquarters moved, and then this headquarters moved. This headquarters used its reorganization power to flip a couple units. So basically just moving, the French are just kind of moving stuff that way. So really not much happened this turn. No casualties or anything like that. So I'll go ahead and get another couple impulses done, and then I'm imagining that, actually, let's look at this. Let's look at the impulse track again. So the axis will go on this turn. They have to roll a 1 or less on the 10-sided. And the zeros on the die count as a 10, not as a 0. So the next, oh, you know what? The turn goes that way. I thought it went, all right. I'm confused right now. So I was thinking that the track went across this way and then you went down this way, but it doesn't. It just kind of goes that way. So we could have quite a few turns left, but I'll continue to crank them out, and we'll see what happens. All right, so I've just conducted the 7th impulse, which is an axis impulse. Readjusted a couple units down here along the Maginot line. I'm just trying to get, and again, this just goes to show my inexperience with the game. I probably should have put more of these reserve and garrison units, like this 4-1, down here on that line, because they have a movement of 1, so they're static units. So they would have been great down here because nothing's really going on down here. It's not like the Germans are going to attack across the line because we have a river and fortifications, which is terrible as far as odds calculations. And the French aren't going to attack across because, well, they just don't have the strength down there. So I just readjusted a couple units, get some of these fresh infantry divisions, or corps in this game, corps up this way. So I did conduct, I had these 2 units were here, and I attacked. There was one face down unit, British corps, eliminated that and then advanced. And then right here I conducted a big offensive. I used all 3 stacks here and attacked there was 2 French units. So it looks like we had these 2 corps here, which were, those are 2 pretty big corps. So they were there. Rolled really well on the table. I got, and it took me a while to figure out how to interpret the results, but I got a shatter result. So basically what a shatter result does is you get to remove both of those units and put them on the production track. So it's like destroying them, but they go on the production track to arrive as reinforcements. So I'm not quite sure how that mechanic's going to work yet. I don't know if outright destroying a unit is better, or if that shatter is a better result by throwing them on the production track to arrive as reinforcements. I don't know quite how that works. I haven't seen a production cycle yet, and so that right now I don't know if that's good or not. I do know what's good is the fact that there was an infantry corps and an armor corps there, and they are no longer there. So as far as the Germans go, that was a good result. Now we're slowly trying to surround this guy, this 2 corps units here. So the good thing is that's a headquarters and it's face down. So that's not good for the British. I do know that, just from the limited use that I've seen of these headquarters here, headquarters are pretty valuable, right? Because you can use them to flip units back over so that you can use them again in the next impulse. So if we manage to take, if the Germans manage to take out this guy right here and that headquarters, that's going to be crippling to the Allies, because now we've lost a headquarters, and that's not a good thing. I think in most games that I've played, headquarters are pretty valuable units. So time will tell. So there we go. We had a combat here that was successful, and we had that combat here which is successful. Oh, and the die result here was also favorable in the fact that half of my surviving units stayed face up. So they can be used in another impulse if there is another impulse. So let's go ahead, and if we roll a 1, then basically May, June is over with. And we rolled a 3. So May, June will continue. We'll now go on to the Allies' turn. We will catch you later. All right, folks, I just conducted the Allied Impulse. I just moved around a couple of French units. I think I moved this guy here. I moved that guy there. I'm really reluctant to do any kind of attacking. I can't get better than 2-to-1 odds. And just the table is, it's not too favorable. It's not too favorable. So if we, I don't know if I can get out far enough. So you're rolling 2 10-sided dice. So your average roll, a 2-to-1 odds is going to give you a +4 die roll modifier. So average die roll on 2 10-sided dice would be an 11, add 4, which would be 15. So that's giving you a result of 2 attacker losses to 1 defender lost, or at best 1 to 1. So that's, honestly, I don't think those are good odds for the Allies if we're trying to play an attrition game here. You know, we're trying to hold the Germans off as long as possible. So I opted to not do any attacking, just kind of moving units into different spots, you know, getting the line kind of bolstered up. And I didn't really want to use that headquarters to reorganize anybody, because a flipped unit gives you a +2 die roll modifier per upside down unit. So, which is basically a column shift. You know, a +2 DRM is a column shift. So I was kind of reluctant to do that, so I think that's kind of where it stands for the Allies. We'll go ahead and roll for the end of turn or impulse, whatever you want to call it. So if I roll a 2 or less, if I roll a 2 or less, then May, June is over with. And there's a 2, and I flipped that counter. So it looks like May, June is over with. All right, let's see what this guy was. Oh, I know where he was. He was right there. So May, June 1940 is over with. So we'll go ahead and conduct, we'll go on to the next thing. We've been doing combat for a while. So I'll go on to the next phase. I think some let's see, what are we looking at? Yeah, end of action. It looks like we're going to do reinforcements, Lend-Lease, which isn't going to happen in this particular scenario. Do some initiative, and then weather and stuff. So, but that'll actually be during July, August. So anyway, that is it for May, June 1940.